Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Being the Marshmallow, Living and Coping with PTSD. I am, as always, Bob Wagner, and once again with me in the studio, he means his living room. Technically, he means his computer room. Our Blimey and Pete. Good morning, guys. Hello. How you doing? Wanted to start off by apologizing for the fact that I didn't do a video last week. Had a pretty savage respiratory infection that I'm still kind of dealing with a little bit. There goes the dog wandering around on his little errands. But this time last week, it left me unable to string 10 words together without coughing so badly that I thought I was going to pass out. And there's a couple of cases where literally the only reason I was able to stay standing was the fact that I was holding onto a large piece of furniture. So not really the best circumstances under which to try to post a video where all you're doing is talking. But sorry about that. This week, I didn't really have a particular set topic in mind. There are a couple of things that I wanted to discuss in a future post with regards to the relationship between mental illness and a lot of the civil unrest that we're seeing across the nation. But I'm not going to talk about that today. What I want to talk about is basically humor and choice, okay? The first thing I want to discuss is this idea that there is something funny about mental illness. And understand that I'm not trying to be one of these, perpetually umbraged members of Team Snowflake where you can't talk about that or you can't make jokes about that because you might step on somebody's delicate little feelings. No. Okay? We live in a free society. Technically, everything is fair game. And I'm not going to want to censor somebody. I'm not going to be out there picketing some comic because he made PTSD jokes, okay? But it's a question of taste, and it's a question of, am I in the club? Do I have the decoder ring, or in this case, the medical bracelet, that really says it's not just my right, but that it's actually but it's actually cool for me to do this, okay? Mental illness is not funny. It is hard. It is scary. It is endemic. It kills people. And even when it doesn't kill you, it gets in every part of your life. Perfect example. The other day at work, this was a very busy day at my job. We were very short-staffed, and customers were just flooding in. And just a very innocuous, harmless comment that a colleague made to me set off a panic attack that was so bad that I found myself in desperate need of getting off of the floor and indeed getting to the restroom because it affected my processes, if you will, to the point where I'm really not sure how I managed to avoid soiling myself before somebody came along who could say, you know what, hey Bob, yeah, I've got this covered. You go take care of what you got to take care of. Okay, the most innocuous thing can set these symptoms off, and so it's not really a laughing matter. We get to make jokes about it because it's a coping mechanism for us, okay? It's how we deal with our pain and our struggle of dealing with this, and frankly, just how damn exhausted we get sometimes, having to fight with this. I mean, I got home from work that day, and I was wrung out, man, and it was, part of it was a busy day, but part of it was like I was just drained emotionally from having to deal with this panic attack at the same time that I'm running a $500 an hour till at a place where the average price point is $10 per item, okay? Imagine that. And so it's not really something that, if you don't get a pass from one of us, you should be cracking jokes about, because we look at it and go, okay, yeah, this guy gets it, he's coping, he knows the struggle. We look at a neurotypical doing it, and we're like, man, you insensitive mother. This is my life and you're mocking it, and that ain't cool, okay? Another good example. In my job, I very frequently usher customers up to the counter by saying, by saying, step right up, I hardly ever bite anymore, that new prescription they've got me on works wonders. And then, if I'm in a particularly teasing mood or if I think the customer's cool, like, but hey, is it just me or do you see that big dragon over there too? And the customers, they find it funny, okay? And I wear this bracelet to work, so people know what I've got, man. And they find it funny, but that's me making the jokes. I'm in the club. I get to crack these things because it helps and it lightens the mood. But somebody else going, God, Bob, up the dosage, or making fun of the fact that I hallucinate, and I make no secret of the fact that I actively hallucinate a lot, That isn't funny, okay? That's my brain misfiring. That's, my computer has bad code and it's sending me faulty signal information, man. And that ain't funny. I choose to make fun of it as a way of dealing, and I know a lot of other people do. But if you are not differently sane, see, there I go again. It's in bad taste, okay? And just don't do it. It's not nice. Don't make fun of us unless one of us says, yeah, you're cool. You've got to pass, okay? It's kind of like being a white person making black jokes, okay? Black people get to make black jokes. White people don't. Mentally ill people get to make mental ill jokes. Neurotypical people don't, unless somebody in the club says you can, okay? So that's that. Excuse me. Like I said, little souvenir there. The other thing I wanted to talk about was choice, this misapprehension, this mistaken belief that mental illness is a choice, okay? I have never heard this at my current job because I am very fortunate to work at a company that is loaded with, amazing people, very sensitive, very compassionate folks who really care about each other. But at other jobs, I'm not going to name names, but at other jobs, I have been told, well, deal with that on your own time, leave it at home, things like that, or my personal favorite, well, just don't do that, okay? Yeah, nobody with PTSD, nobody with a mental illness, whether it's PTSD or depression or anxiety or schizophrenia or bipolarity, none of us get to choose where and when our symptoms will hit, okay? They come at us out of nowhere. Perfect example, the story that I told at the start of this video. It was a completely harmless, innocuous conversational piece. It was just, dropped into casual chat, and this one little 3-word phrase set me off into a panic attack to the point where, frankly, if I had any ability at all to do so, I would have exited the situation and I would have gotten away from people and probably spent a good 5-10 minutes, bringing myself down. But instead, I had to suck up, work my breathing techniques, and just soldier on, all right? So we don't get a choice. It's not something that we get to decide, no more than a woman's menstrual cycle is. And if you find that offensive, well, you know what? That's a perfect example. There was actually a politician, I forget which party, but there's a politician who got all ticked off that there was a budget line item in his state's budget to provide tampons to female state employees, and he wanted to get this pulled on the grounds that, well, they should just choose to have their periods during non-business hours. And if you are offended or umbraged at the idea of a guy telling a woman, well, don't have your period during work time, that's precisely how it is for people with mental illness. Telling us, hey, you know what? Don't have this thing during work time. The difference is that a woman's menstrual cycle is a natural functioning part of human biology. Mental illness is stuff's not working right, okay? Stuff's broken here. We didn't choose to have this broken any more than I would willfully download a virus into my computer. I'm not going to go online to virus.com and go, oh, hey, that one will cause my computer to flip me off and send donkey porn to all of my closest friends. No, not going to do it, okay? Same way, I didn't choose this. None of us chose this, all right? So don't tell people with mental illness, have that on your own time, or just don't do it, or just don't be that way, okay? Something happened to us. There was a traumatic event. Maybe our parents took drugs while they were pregnant with us. Maybe we just got a bad draw in the biology department, and we've got some chemical imbalance. There's all kinds of things that cause people to have mental illness. But what does not cause a person to have mental illness is the decision to have mental illness. All right? Nobody says, I am going to have a medical condition that is poorly understood, generally feared, adversely impacts various aspects of my life, can make it very hard for me to function in society, and oh yeah, may one day cause me to kill myself. Because, hey, that sounds like a lark, okay? You don't have a hallucination because you got a couple of minutes to kill and you don't smoke, so in lieu of a smoke break, you go and you have a full sensory freak out, all right? This is something that ambushes us. It hits us at any time, any place. It comes out of nowhere, and we don't like it. It sucks, all right? So please don't tell us to deal with this on our own time or to just don't do that, because you sound very flippant and very crass and very insensitive, and it's just not cool. You wouldn't tell a cancer patient, well, don't have cancer, or you wouldn't tell an AIDS patient, don't have AIDS. Okay, really? Gee, wish I'd thought of that. And don't laugh when you find out that we're having symptoms. Okay, there was a situation where somebody I knew found out that I was having a panic attack, and they smirked at me and walked away laughing. Okay, it's not funny. It's hard. It's scary. Don't do it. It's not amusing. If we laugh at it, we're coping with our pain. We're coping with the difficulty of it. It's helping us be better able to function. Somebody else laughing at it or telling us just don't do that is basically showing their ignorance, and it's showing how little they understand about it. And frankly, it's showing that you just don't give a damn about another human being who is going through hell at the moment. So just so we're clear, mental illness it can be funny as hell, okay? I find it kind of amusing that my brain just randomly shows me stuff that isn't there. But for the most part, the pain and the struggle and the added burden that it produces is not funny. If we laugh at it, we laugh at it because dark humor is and always has been therapeutic and cathartic. Also, it is not a choice. No one chooses mental illness. Don't tell people, well, just choose not to be that way. If we could choose, we would choose not to do it at all. Okay? So that's that. Have yourselves a great day, and I will see you next week. Probably going to talk about guns and weapons and knives next time. So just a little heads up, if you don't like guns and you don't like weapons in general, you may want to skip next week's episode, but I'm going to be talking about some guns next week. Talk to you later.